What's going on, everyone? I'm so glad you have decided to join us. Welcome to the Kingdom Conversations podcast. I am your host, Jay Freeman. Amazing show planned for you tonight. Listen, I've got a great guest that we're going to be talking about fatherhood, kingdom fathering. Fathering inside and outside of the church. We hear this all the time, and you may be wondering, what was your inspiration for this actual session or what have you? And really, the inspiration came from feeling like there's a lack of appreciation for great fathers. We know from time to time that we have issues. We hear all the time women bashing fathers that are not taking care of their children and all that. And we're going to talk about that as well. One thing about me, anybody that knows me knows that I hold men accountable. And so we're going to talk about fathers not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but and how can we better help those, that move forward. And let me know if you can hear me clearly. I kind of hear some static in my mic. I'm not sure where that's coming from all of a sudden, but let me know if you can hear that or if everything sounds great on your end. But again, we're talking about father. Looks like in today's society, we have a lot of things that our children have to deal with, a lot of things that fathers and men in general have to deal with. We're going to be also doing a Father's Day special. And then I'm going to do a special on that Sunday evening, night. We're going to bring on some fathers, and we're just going to be talking about what it is and what it means to them to be fathers, what have you. And so tonight, I'm excited. I have one. We've known each other for years. I consider his children are my godchildren. I remember we threw them what you call it, the baby shower for their twin girls. Years and years and years, and this brother has been amazing. Okay, so I'm getting a staticky robot sound. Okay, I'm gonna fix that. And I see here my Pastor McMichael. God bless you, sir. I see him coming. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and bring on Maurice and allow him to introduce himself, and then we're gonna go further in the conversation. So I want you guys to help me greet my guest tonight, Elder Maurice Webb. Elder Maurice Webb.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's going on, brother?
Yeah, hey man, thank you so much for the invitation. You're big time now, so you got all of this fancy equipment. I remember back when you were staying in Durham, man. So I just knew you before you blew up. So I'm just glad that you remembered me, the small people. As you then blew up and pastoring now and doing great things, man. But thank you so much for the invitation, man. And what a amazing topic, a topic that I hold near and dear to my heart. I hope that this conversation helps some guys really think about how to be fathers in the 21st century.
Yes.
I truly believe that we need new tools, new strategies, new ideas, new understanding for the generation that we're raising in this current day and time. And man, I'm here for it. I want to be a part of the conversation, and I certainly want to be a part of the change. So thank you again for having me, man. I'm so grateful to be
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your background as far as your 21st century fatherhood organization and how that came about and everything.
Yeah, no doubt. Like many, I grew up in a very tumultuous home, very traumatic. My mother and father abused drugs, and ended up going into foster care at the age of 15.
Hmm.
When I went into foster care, it really uh, started my life on a different path. And through that path, I started meeting a lot of different people, and I actually decided to stay in care because I wanted to get out of Detroit, to be perfectly honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I really had a lot of anger towards my father. So I never lived with him after I went into foster care. I never lived with him again, and went off to college. And I kind of for about 10 years had this phase of my life where I just was going to prove him wrong. He was one
Mm.
of those guys that I could do nothing without him, and I was just determined to be everything that he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's interesting because I just held a lot of anger. To be honest with you, I'm not necessarily an angry person, but I definitely felt let down. And I think for a lot of kids out there now who are experiencing life where their friends are doing things that they cannot do, and they start to kind of make that judgment that this is based on the fact that my parents can't afford to do the things that other people can do,
Right.
or they're just putting us in a bad situation. I always say that we were poor unnecessarily.
Wow.
because because just mismanagement, man. I mean, just haphazard living. And
Mm,
as a child, I was unfortunately affected by that. And so that's my traumatic side of my life. But I got saved and I found Christ, and through Christ, I've met great people. I just soaked up everything I could learn from my
mhm.
coaches to mentors. Man, I've watched you over the years.
Wow.
I watch everybody, and I try to take a little bit of positive from everybody, and I just have taken that and tried to use it in my life. And I pride myself on just being a person that wants to continue to learn and grow. And in 2017,
Mhm.
after being an entrepreneur and having a business, God said, "I want you to start something new," and I wanted it to be something that I felt passionate about. That's really where 21st Century Fatherhood came from. So
Mhm.
the organization really started as an idea, and it's taken about 5 years now to really tweak it and understand it. So we're just now really starting to get off the ground. And one of the things that we're looking to do is to take all of those relationships with other men and connect them with mentees,
Mhm.
and also bring light to fatherhood and education, and do some digital content.
Let me do this here. Let me come straight from my mic. Can y'all hear me? All right, that's better.
Yes, we get.
Yeah, I had my effects and stuff on here, and I don't know what's going on right now. It was fine when we did pre-show, but you know how things go.
The devil is busy.
You know how it is. Yeah, right, right. We blame everything on them. And so and so when you think about fathering in the 21st century, when we look at today's society, man, it's so much that's going on. And I often say in conversations that a lot of this stuff can be traced back to fathers. I just totally believe that. I believe that when and the studies have shown this, statistics have shown this, that when you have a father in the home that are raising the children, they just turn out better.
Yeah,
It does not mean that there's not exceptions to the rules, but there's just certain things that don't happen. They don't get in trouble with the law. They don't go to prison as at the rate of those that are unfathered. And so
yeah,
it's become, we're talking about a pandemic, but this has really become a pandemic. And when you think about worldwide fathering, and how many have really lost their lives because of being unfathered, people don't really think
yeah,
about it from that standpoint. It's like, okay, how many lives have really been lost because they didn't have a father, or they didn't have a male figure in their lives to really guide them, even not even just from a perspective of a son, but also from a perspective of a young lady, right? Teaching her what a true man looks like. Oftentimes
hmm,
we don't have that in the home. And so we what happens is they grow up, and the young man does not know how to respect a woman, does not no longer opens the door for the woman, no longer respects her, no longer carries or takes the trash out, no longer does the things necessary to show that, hey, I love you, that you are a woman, I want to treat you with respect, I want to be gentle with you. And then on the flip side, we have young ladies that don't know what it is to have a father, and so they're seeking that love, and so they're trying to find that love in all of these wrong guys. They're going
yeah,
out here, and they're giving these guys the goodies, and then when they get the goodies, then they throw the girls away, and they're wondering
yeah,
like, what's going on? And so now you have these stigmas that are stacking up on top of each other, and you have all this baggage that you're trying to get through. And so what is your perspective on just overall? And then let's get a bird's eye view, and then we're gonna dive deep into it, as it relates to fathering. What is your perspective on fathering today, in this type of society, the type of atmosphere that we're surrounded with now, inside and outside of the church?
oh man, that's a heavy discussion right there. I'll start with this. We're both girl dads,
Right.
right? So we got girls. So we have a heightened sense of protectiveness as fathers because we have girls to look after, right?
Hmm.
We both are raising multiple girls, and so that's part of it, is that, you know, as a father to girls, I think that I stepped into fatherhood kind of having to get on the treadmill and start running with this thing.
Mm,
I didn't have time to really figure it out. Also, having raised my sister, who was with us from age 12 up to 18. So I was fathering a sibling and also my own children, three girls
mm.
now.
Wow.
Um, what comes to mind for me is that the father, first of all, and if there's guys listening tonight, which I hope there are, is that we are really the soul of the family. Let me say that again. We are the soul of the family.
That's good.
When we're not present, the soul is not present. Meaning, there is a sense of deepness that we bring to the family. We're like anchors, you know. I don't care how big a ship is, that anchor drops, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
And so we are really a firm foundation, our very presence. We're self-esteem for the family. We are, when we walk in the door, God designed us to be confident. I mean, the way we're built to be confident.
Right.
God rest his soul. My wife just lost her grandfather. This man was a rock in her life, and I had the pleasure of knowing him for about 15 years. And from the day I met him to the day he passed away at 92 years old, you knew when he was in the room.
Mm,
And and I said to myself, that's the kind of man I want to be. Not that what he said, just the fact that he was present. And so we are the soul of the family. I mean, imagine going to a family reunion and there's no food there.
bruh, you talking about
We
anarchy?
black folks, okay? We black folks, okay? We like to eat, man.
Right.
It's no
Right.
there is no party without food. I don't care if it's a baby
Absolutely.
shower. I don't care if it's a wedding. I don't care if it's a family reunion. If it's no food, man, it's no party. I'm
None.
out of here.
None.
I'll see y'all on the flip side. And I just feel like as men, that's who we are, man.
Right.
We are we're nourishment to the family. And so when we're not present, we're there's a lot of things lacking. And that's why our girls are hungry for attention, because they haven't been fed. They haven't been
Right.
fed. Their
Right.
souls haven't been fed. There's a void in them. So I think that that's one of the things that I would say. So 21st century fatherhood is all about educating, equipping, and empowering men. So I wanted to do three things. I want to, number one, say, look, there's over 70 million fathers in the United States.
Mm.
One sixth of fathers are outside the home. 1/6.
Wow.
So there is a number of guys who are now challenged that are not even in the home with their children, that have to be fathers, right? So I wanted to make sure
Hmm.
I was doing my part to encourage those men to stay in their children's life, no matter the relationship with the mother of the child, no matter the relationship, because you're a father for life, man. You are a father
Absolutely.
for life. Like, I don't care what you say. You can argue with me if you want to, but you're a father for life. Until the day you die, you're gonna be a father, and your kids is gonna need you. So you may as well get used to it.
Right. Right.
But also, too, I also felt like it was important to make sure, and I related to like going to the gym. If you're lifting weights and you by yourself, you know what you can do.
Hmm.
But when you get around some more guys, you know what I'm saying, you get a little confident, and you be like,
Right.
I could probably throw up a little bit more weight, and really it's your ego. And so I said, man, I want to be a top cheerleader for men, for fathers in this day and time, because I just feel like we just don't get enough love, especially the ones of
Absolutely.
us who are doing the things that we're supposed to do quietly. We're not on
Right.
Facebook, we're not loud about it. We're just taking care of our business. So I just wanted to make sure I was recognizing real dads, real stories, and just being a supporter to men. So I just feel like this is my ministry now. I've taken it on, I've embraced it, and this is something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Man, that's awesome, man. That's kind of where I'm at with it as well. And mine is more so men in general. I was sharing with Talora. I just got a mandate. It seems like to really, really attract men and get men, and really mentor men or either young men as well, because I just see, like you mentioned, especially fathers. I posted this a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned it again, I think the other day, and I said, fathers are the most unappreciated or undervalued, I would say, position or role
Yeah.
within the society today. I mean, all we see on social media are women bashing fathers, women bashing men, and all this. And it's like, okay, all fathers are not bad fathers.
Right.
Excuse me. And so we've got to understand that we've got to appreciate those that are doing it the right way. You have this excuse me, you have this conversation where people are always saying, um, well, that's what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, and the woman is not supposed to take care of the child either. I mean, it's like it's a two-way street,
Yeah.
and so excuse me. And so if you are celebrating mothers and trust me, I'm one that definitely knows that they are well deserving,
Yeah.
because let's be real, when the fathers were not there, the mothers
Absolutely.
were. You know
They
what I
stepped
mean?
up.
Yeah, they stepped up and did what they had to do. And then there's some of us that we've been there from the very beginning. You know what I mean? And so we deserve that same type of treatment. We don't deserve just a tie on Father's Day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where the mama get everything. No, you should appreciate fathers that are doing it, because guess what? There are many that are not, and
Yeah.
that's what brings us to this conversation. And so
Yeah.
you should appreciate when you have a great husband, when you have a great father of your children. You should appreciate that, and don't take that for granted, because everybody doesn't have that. I know for me, my situation is similar to yours, where when I was growing up, those critical moments in my life, I didn't have my father. I had a
Yeah.
stepfather, but it wasn't the same. You know what I mean? My stepfather still was not what I would consider to be a great father. You know what I mean? And so when I looked at all of the other kids, even though I excelled in athletics and all this stuff, it would have been so much better if I had my father. I was
Oh,
sharing
no
with,
doubt.
yeah, I was sharing with one of our mutual friends, Warren Caldwell, and I was
Hmm.
just encouraging him on the job that he's doing with his two sons. I mean, he is really driving them, pushing them, in their athletics and their academics. And I told him, I said, man, I wish I had that. I wish I had a father like you when I was growing up. It's no telling where I would have been athletically. I was great, got recruited by 12 different schools, 12 Division I schools and all that. And so, I was great at what I was doing, but how much better could I have been if my father
Absolutely.
was in my life pushing me
And
forward,
watch this. Watch this. When we look out and we watch NFL games, basketball games, and we look, they scan the room and they go over to the
Right.
stands, and
It's
you
always the
see these
mama.
dads, right? You see these moms, right? But then some like Patrick Mahomes, and you see these
Right.
guys who like Steph Curry. You know what
Right.
I'm
They have
saying?
their dads.
Where
Right.
they had these fathers in their life,
Yep.
because you have the greats who do things in spite of not having, right? Where they're just exceptional. They were born with a talent that is unquestionably just greatness. But then you
Right.
have those who, like a Steph Curry, who, come on, bro, the dude is 6'1",
Right.
right? It wasn't in the cards for him to be great, but so much greatness was around him that he had the things that was necessary to push him to that next level. Now he's at that place where he's a superstar because
Right.
he had somebody in his life that, I feel like many of us just need that father to help polish us a little bit. Just polish us a little bit to show us, hey, look, no, no, do it like this here and watch how that takes you to that next level. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And it's our identity. Our fathers are our identity, man. They
Oh
carry
yeah.
their DNA, yet we don't know who we are half the time because they didn't know who they were. And I mean, it's just a generation of unfortunately not really walking in your true self. And I was just
Okay.
determined. I mean, I've had a lot of challenges in my life as an adult, because I've tried to break the mold for a lot of things. And I pay a premium for my kids to have a better life. I'll just put
Right.
it that way. And I'm okay with that as a man, because I'm like, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to
Yeah.
you're supposed to put your children in a better position in life so that they can be set up for success. And sometimes it does come at a price, but at the same time, I'm like, God, I don't see it no other way, man, because we
Right.
know we know what greatness can come out of them, and we're there to push them. We're
Right.
there to push them into that next level. And that's why I'm like, I gotta stay in their life. I can't not be in my kids' life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, even when me and my wife was having challenges, it was the kids that kept us together. We was like, no, we don't want our kids out there like that.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I concur with you saying, man.
Yeah, and that's and that's kind of what drove me to be a better father. You know what I mean? And God blessed me where and let me make things clear. My dad wasn't there, but he still provided some of the things that we wanted, and
Mhm.
everything. So it was like he was in my life, but he wasn't a presence, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
But it wasn't until years later where God allowed, when he was released from prison and God allowed us to reconnect, that we actually built that relationship. And I told Pops, like, look, man, I don't have any hard feelings towards you and all that, because you not being there made me a better father and a better man. It made
yeah,
me say and be determined to say, you know what? When I get married, I'm getting married for life. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be faithful. I'm not gonna cheat on my wife, because I don't want to see my kids out there like that. You know what I mean? And
right,
so it took me to another level in my thought process as related to, what, the things that I'm going through, I never want my kids to go through. I had
man.
and that's so key. That's so key.
Man,
I
you
had
you
a
you you speaking now.
yeah, I had it wound up being a tearjerker meeting, right? And because God just really laid on my heart to bring the family back together and do a refocus meeting, family
Okay.
meeting. And so we last fourth Sunday, or Sunday, fourth Sunday before last, fourth Sunday is now our family day. And
Yeah,
so they all come back. My son comes back from Charlotte. My other daughter comes back from Durham school, and all
love it.
that. And we have dinner, but we also have a family meeting. And during that family meeting, I had to really refocus them and say, okay, this is what you need to be doing. So we didn't have a lot of that when we were growing up. Even with my mom. My mom never sat me down and said, you know what, this is what you need to focus on. She kind of lived the life before us, but to sit down and say, okay, where's your plan at? Where's your 3 to 5 year plan? What are your goals? What does your credit look like? All of this type of stuff. But I really drove home the point that, listen, the things that your mother and I do for y'all, sometimes we feel like y'all take it for granted, because we didn't have this stuff and we worked as hard as we do. And we sacrifice the things that we sacrifice because we want you guys to have a better life than we ever had growing up. And I think many times they see some of the things that their other friends and colleagues have, and I'm like, no, I'm not going out there buying you
Mhm.
$350 pair of Jordans that you're gonna
Right,
outgrow in 2 months. It just
right.
don't make sense. Let's take that $350 and put it into something else. Or how about we got other things that you can benefit from, instead of wasting your money on certain trivial things or what have you. And so many times, I think it's so important that you have a father figure that can reset the family. And what's your take on even those that don't have a father? Let's go there. Let's talk about those that don't have a father in their lives, or even well, we'll deal with the other part later. But even those that don't have a father, what is your perspective or your advice on finding that father figure
Yeah,
that they can have in their lives? 'Cause I think there's so many people that are in that position.
yeah. Let me speak to this from both secular and a spiritual side, because I did both. When I was in high school, I started playing football, partly because I wanted to be a part of something, not really because
Mm.
go out and be in college and play ball in
Hmm.
college, things like that. I just wanted to be a part of something. I started listening to my coach, our breakdowns were key for me at the
Mm-hmm.
end of practice, because at the end of practice he was a lot more intimate, and I would try to glean something from him um, at the time that would help me steer the direction of my life. And I'm telling you, man, I just had an ear to listen. I was hungry to listen. So that's the first thing is listen to listen to your soul and what you really need, because God will put certain people in your life for what you really need, right? If you say I need a
That's good,
mentor,
Doc.
if you say I need a mentor, you have to listen for when those people show up, be like, this is something I've been praying about. I need to connect with this person. My prayer all year has been, Lord, put me in a position to develop meaningful relationships. That's been my prayer for the entire year. And even with people that I've known, those relationships have gotten stronger because the conversations have changed. And so you have to pray about it. Number one, pray about God putting the right people in your life, because they will show up, and be ready to listen for when they show up, because they will show up. And I will say that you got to be willing to ask questions. You know, I'll go up to somebody, and I'll be at a conference sometimes, man, and I'll wait till everybody then left. And if that speaker is still in the room, that's my opportunity to speak to them. Like I want to have a one-on-one if I can. And so being hungry to want to develop new relationships is important, because at the end of the day, sometimes people are not going to look like you. I have some white friends, I have some black friends, some Mexican friends. It don't matter, man.
Right, right.
Need something, you have to be willing to put yourself in a place where you can receive from people. And that's the first thing, is just being willing to listen. We talk about everything. We talk a lot,
Oh yeah.
but are you willing to just stop and listen? I mean, there's a lot of power in just stopping to listen, man. And you can learn something if you're quiet enough. And I've tried to do that in my life. And so spiritually, I did the same thing with my pastors. All of my pastors in my life, I tried to have a personal relationship at whatever stage I was at. When I was in college, I had a pastor. When I moved to North Carolina, I connected with the church. Currently we're at a different church, but I'm still connected. I use the same principles. Let me put it this way. I've been working out for the majority of my adult life, right? I'm still
Mm-hmm.
trying. I had COVID pounds before COVID. So um I said, I'm gonna do something different this year.
uh,
I go to the gym in the morning, Jermaine, and I'm sorry, Pastor Jay.
oh no,
I
you
go to
fine.
the gym, man, and I know what I'm gonna do. I know my routine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I watch this guy all the time. I mean, like, he's always here. He's always at the gym. I go up to him. I had to humble myself, and I said, "Man, I see you here every day, man. I want to get on your routine, man, because I see you really have a structure."
Mm,
And now, as a grown man, right, as a 30-something-year-old man, I had
right.
to humble myself and say, "Bruh, I need to get on your plan."
Mm-hmm.
I've been working out with this guy now for 6 months straight. I've seen more consistency, success, and health benefits from working out with this gentleman, an older guy at the gym, for the last 6 months.
Wow.
And he challenges me without speaking to me. He don't
Mm-hmm.
say, "You better be here tomorrow." But if I've missed maybe a handful of times, he'll be like, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow." Because it's just presence. It's
Right.
like this is just what we do. So you have to be willing to listen, man, because there's some people that I believe are coming to help, but you got to be ready to receive them.
Man, I think that is so powerful because, when you said listening or being quiet, right? Because I think that's
Yeah.
the number one skill set that most people do not have, but that could change their lives. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
I when I was thinking last week, when I was just looking back over, so God just had me like in remembrance, and I was just thinking back, even in my marriage, right, from where we started at, 22 years ago, and even 26 years ago when we met each other, to where we are
shout out to
now, and,
2
and
years later.
just oh yeah, man, and just like how much I've grown, right? As a listener, right? As a listener, as a communicator, because Taloy would be the first one to tell you that I wasn't really a good communicator. Why? Because I never grew up with good communicators. And so
Absolutely.
I was just really repeating the behavior that I saw all those years. I never saw great communicators in my family. My mother, she would, well, I would say she was a pretty good communicator, but I'm talking about from a perspective of relationships, from a perspective of a father or a manly figure in my life. I never had that. I recall, um, I was going through a certain time, and even me as a child, I don't know about you, but me as a child, I was a great kid, but I was a kid that always sought out attention, right? And
Oh yeah.
so I always wanted to be the class clown because I
Oh,
knew
absolutely.
people would like me and all of this, right? But I realized years later that all of that behavior of me acting out in school and all of that, as a great kid, as a great church kid, you know what I mean? My teachers used to say he's so wonderful and lovable, but he just won't sit still because I was a musician, so I would always be tapping on the desk and all this type stuff. Um, you know, trying to do all the jokes so everybody would laugh and all this stuff. But it was disruptive. But I realized years later that I was acting out because I didn't have that father figure in my life. You know what I mean? And so, even the stints where he was there, it made a difference. It made a huge difference, man. And so years later, now I realized a lot of things that I went through as a child in my childhood, it was because of that. It was because I was acting out because I didn't have my father in my life, and so communication was key for me, even in
Oh,
my adulthood, communication. And you are absolutely right, man. It's like you've got to be willing to accept that, accept the mentorship, accept the feedback, the constructive criticism. That's one of the things that people don't like to hear where they're wrong at. No,
let me
tell
say
me.
let me say this, man. I have not had the best um career, like employment career as an
Hmm.
adult.
Hmm.
I've been a guy that's really always walked into a job like the job owed me something, right?
Hmm. Wow.
And as a believer, right? As a believer. And so I I looked up, man, and I realized that I was really I had a spirit of arrogance because I felt like I knew more than the people that were hiring me for those jobs.
Wow.
It cost me. It cost me opportunities. And so I got pushed into a position in my life where I had to start playing catch up on things because in the
Mm.
moments where I could have excelled, I didn't because I was trying to outdo people who had charge over me.
Wow.
So I was trying to create my own process when it was a time in my life where I should have went through the process. So I was
Mm.
trying to create something where God's like, no, there are parts of your life where you have to take the steps. You cannot go around it. You can't pass go. You can't collect $200 unless you go this route. And man, I look back on it and I said, man, I'm going to be able to help my children because there are things in life they're going to try to rush through. And it's like, no, baby, you're gonna have to take this process. This is where your patience now has to come in. And that's what I believe a father can do for his children is help us to avoid certain pitfalls in life because we've experienced a little bit more. And also we can come from a place where I know you. I know what you want to do because I
Mm-hmm.
was doing
Right.
that thing.
Because I did it right.
But listen to me here, take this path. And our kids, they're challenged not to always listen to us. But I believe that a lot of times our kids don't listen because they see us not living the examples. We have to be good practitioners. Fathers have to be good practitioners.
That's
You
good.
have to practice what you preach. This generation wants to see it before they believe it. And I believe that's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Because guess what? That holds me accountable.
Right.
I set the tone in the house of, hey, we're gonna get healthier, starting with me. I gave up meat this year.
Mm.
I stopped eating meat, and my weight has come down, right? Because I want to be in a healthier weight.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's caused everybody else to start looking at their plate a little different. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
But I versus just sitting there saying, everybody get healthy, and you sitting there looking
Right.
like a fat. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Right.
You gotta practice that thing. And I just believe that's one of the things that we have to do. If you're a good practitioner, number one, you're gonna stay out of trouble. You're gonna stay in position where you need to be. And two, you're gonna be far more effective in your children's life. We make this stuff too complicated sometimes. Man, just practice good morals, good ethics, and watch things change in your entire family. Because we got the power to do that.
Right.
Because when we walk in the room, man, people want to know what we think. They want to know what we're doing. Where daddy at? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
why not walk it out? So that's what I wanted to say to that.
Man, that's so key. The older Dodge says more. What it says more is caught than taught. In other
Yeah,
words, they're watching what you do. They're watching what you do, and oftentimes, and here's a reality I want parents and fathers as well to realize. All you can do is bring them up the right way. And
exactly.
once they get of age, when they make their own choices and all that, that's no longer your responsibility. It's your responsibility to lead and guide them, even when they make the wrong decisions. You want to go back to them and say, you know what, this is how you could have done this better, so and so and so and so. But
Exactly.
I see it oftentimes. I had to counsel an individual, and even to Lori and I, even with our kids, where we've looked back, and our kids have made some decisions. And I told Talora, I said, look, we raised them. We raised
I
them
love
on the admonition of the Lord. They were in church from the very beginning. We taught them morals and standards. We taught them how to have integrity. We taught them how to treat people. I said, and so if they make their wrong decisions, that's on them. We can't feel guilty about that, right? Because we all, guess what? We all have been there. We all
exactly.
had our own journey that we had to take. We all had our own mistakes that we made, even when our parents told us the right way. We was like, well, no, we gonna try to figure it out ourselves. And so no, and a lot of times, like you had mentioned, um, they got to put the work in. I was having this discussion with one of my daughters. I'm like, look, this is the real world. Nothing is handed to you. I don't know why you feel like we've never given you that impression. You've always seen hard workers in this family. I don't know why you feel like you could just, work when you want to or just walk on the job and do whatever you want to do. No, if they tell you got to wear this uniform, why are you complaining about it? Why are you even questioning it? No, do what they require, the job requires of you. And I told her, I
Yeah.
gave her some advice. I said, look, I said, if you want to excel at this job, let me tell you what you do. I said, and I'm guarantee you, nobody else on your job is doing this. I said, go to your manager and ask them, what do you need to do in order to move up the corporate ladder? And she was like, really? I was like, yes, I'm telling you. I said, you need to let them know what do you need to do to get a promotion and all this, and you want to make this a career, whatever the case may be. She did that. And the funny thing is, I had forgot all about the conversation. And so when she came to me and was like, her manager came to her and said, you know what, you got potential and all this. I want to make you a manager. So now she a manager in training. I told her, I said, see, that came from the conversation that you had. When they saw that you were serious about the job, all those other jokers that are over there just looking at it as a starter job and all of that, I was like, you can literally be on that same job making $100,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
You just got to put in the work and the effort and making sure that your work is better than everybody else's. You do it with a spirit of excellence and all. Um,
So so listen, hold on. You can't overlook this because that advice is advice that set her up for success, right?
exactly.
That's advice you can use in any area of your life. You want to
Right.
excel because we live in a hierarchical society. So you always most of the time, if you're just starting out with things, you start at the bottom. You don't
Right.
usually start at the top, right?
Right.
Working class folks don't start at the top. We start at
No,
the bottom,
sir.
we work our way up.
Right.
Donald Trump kids, man, started from the top and went on up.
Right.
But most of us have to start from some humble beginning. So you can take that same strategy and apply it everywhere.
Everywhere.
In
Absolutely.
church, in any volunteer program, in any job, in your own business, man, you can apply that same principle. And one of the things we both know in life, whether you're doing business with somebody or somebody's doing business with you, the more you can serve them,
more visits you're gonna get.
you're gonna fly to the top. You'll
Yes,
fly
sir.
to the top.
Yes,
If
sir.
you do good service to people, you treat people right. Oh my gosh, you already on the path to greatness. I say this. Let me say this one thing here. I say to the kids, I always tell them, one of my phrases to them is, I say, how do I say it here? I want to make sure I get this right. You haven't truly learned something until you can teach someone else. I always say that to them. And what I'm trying to teach them is, don't wait for people to teach you everything. I want you to be self learners. I want you to be observant, be aware, understand your surrounding, understand that there are other people in the room that have something to offer to the conversation. But truly take all of that and you learn from that. And when you take all that information, it's going to make you a much more impactful person because
Right.
you have a well-rounded view. You don't just have a view just from a book or just from somebody's opinion, but you take all of that information to form your own. And that's what's truly going to make you a more valuable person. Because now
Right.
you can appreciate other people, but you also understand that you have something to offer to the table as well.
Yeah, that is so key because I tell people all the time, the more information you know, the more you can make. Right? People are paying for your knowledge every single day. There's nothing for me to be able to say, okay, what's your consultation fee? And I tell them, $150, $250, $500, and they pay it. Why? Because I have the knowledge that I help them shortcut their process. And so when
Exactly.
you can do that, people will pay top dollar. I think that's one of the hardest things for a lot of young people to realize. And then you have some that will do it, but really understanding that, listen, because even though we live in a microwave society, does not mean that you should shortcut the process, right?
That's good.
Because there are lessons that you learn through the process that you would never learn if you try to shortcut. You know what I mean? I always tell people, I said many times, God, we try to go around the storm, but God wants us to go through the storm. So that way we know what the test is. We know how to make it through that storm instead of going around it. And then you're dealing with that same storm next year, and you still doing the same thing, going around it again. And you wonder, well, God, why am I in the same place? Well, it's because you're trying to circumvent the storm that I want you to go through, so I can teach you some things in the storm. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
so it's the same way with our kids or what have you, as it relates to really listening. And we have this thing, and we did it as well as children, where we didn't want to listen. Oh, that's a mom and dad. They said now. Oh, that's the old way of doing it. I'm like, what are you talking about? The way of
Mhm.
doing it is what works. Period. It doesn't matter if it's old or new. Oh, that's y'all way of doing it and all that. And it's funny how so much comes back around, right? The same dances, some of these dances they consider new. I was like, y'all do realize that we was doing that at 15. It just happened to come all the way back around. And so when they realized that, it's like, wow, okay, mom and dad really do know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I talk about my son now. He's 26, going to be 27, I believe,
Which is
and it's
which
crazy,
is great.
right? It's crazy. He's no longer little Jermaine. But I'm so proud because he didn't take forever. He didn't take it to getting into his late 30s to realize, yo, I got to get stuff right. You know what I mean? And so now he even tries to mentor his younger sisters. Say, look, don't make the mistakes I made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because he has that influence with them. They
Yeah.
love their brother. And so I tell them all the time, look, y'all listen to Jermaine. He's trying to tell y'all. Even at the family meeting, he was speaking and telling them, listen, listen to what mom and dad are telling y'all, because it'll save you a whole lot of headaches in the end or what have you. And so let me move and let's talk about fathering from the perspective of, I know we got to wrap up soon, but what would you say to those individuals, those guys that are dealing with, because we see this a lot as well, where there is a young man out there that wants to be in his children's life, but the
Mhm.
mother won't allow him to be.
Mhm.
I know you may have experienced that with some of the fathers or what have you that you mentor or what have you,
Yeah.
or maybe not. But what is your feelings on that, or the best way you feel like giving advice on how to handle those types of situations.
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's challenging. When I was working with Wake County fatherhood program, I that was my main role, is to
Wow.
advocate for dads um, in the court
Wow.
system. So I had to be under oath just about every week, giving testimony on a father's role in the children's life in order to get his children back. And a lot of times, in their case, they wouldn't even know that the children was placed in care until they got notified by the courts. So they would
Whoa.
have literally weeks to prepare their case to get their children out of care. And those were just really tumultuous relationships with the mother of the children. Just on a natural level, child support is a huge it's a huge battle because the courts unfortunately favor the mothers.
Always.
Um, there's a there is a it's a feminine ideology that really lurks in the courtroom when it relates to the children. There's just not a balance at all, partly because we don't see fathers as nurturers,
Mm.
and that's one of the problems there. So I would say there are probably 4 or 5 things I would suggest that a father can do without being in their child's life physically, if they can't be in the child's life physically. Number one, you should write letters. You should physically write letters to your children, because a letter is typically written in a more intimate way and express as much thought as you can in how you feel about your children. Tell them that you love them. Express that. Tell them who they are. Put it in a letter, because you can now, and I would make a copy of it just for, receipt purposes.
Right.
But you write letters to your children. Number two, I would say what I would not do is get down the path of just buying their attention, because you have to keep a certain you have to keep up with that, and it's really like buying their love. It's not healthy. Kids don't need more material things. Take care of their needs, but you don't have to buy things just to buy their attention.
Right.
You're their father, so you don't have to buy anything. You don't owe them anything. You're just there to be a part of their life. And I would say too is, what I've told dads is, number one is you have to be willing to fight at all costs to be in their life. Unfortunately, every father does not get the right to just walk into their kid's life like me and you do.
Hmm.
Um, so you have to fight. So understand that you're in a battle, and if you're in a battle, you need weapons and you need tools. So you need to surround yourself with other men. That's why we're having these types of conversations. I have an organization, 21st Century Fatherhood. We're getting ready to, as we're coming out of COVID, we're going to be meeting. So connecting with other men, you have to be willing to ask other men questions, because again, somebody's gone through something that you're going through. I personally have not gone through the child support battle, but just about everybody I know has had some form of dealing with the
Right.
child support piece. So you have to be willing to fight for them, and understanding that we were built to fight. We were born to be warriors. So it's in us to be a warrior. You have to be strategic in how you fight. You can't be going over there ringing the doorbell,
Right. Right.
threatening threatening to throw eggs on the house every time you pull up to the house. But write letters, let your kids' presence be known. And if you have a situation where she's just not letting you see the kids at all, I would say, if you have to use the legal system, use the legal system. That's what it's there for.
Right.
The legal system works on their behalf. It can work on yours too. You just got to be proactive about it. If you're in a reactive situation, you're probably not going to get much support. But if you're in a proactive situation, so you might have to go and get you a lawyer, and have a lawyer to listen. I'll put it to you like this: if your kids are important to you, you do whatever you got to do
There you
to
go.
be in their life. I mean, I'm just gonna put it plain and simple.
Yeah.
You do
Absolutely
whatever
true.
you have to do to be in your kid's life. When I was
Absolutely.
going when I was going through identity theft, I had to pay thousands of dollars to clear my name,
Hmm.
and I paid that money because my name was important to me.
Hmm.
Period.
There you go. And that's the bottom line. I love what you were saying there, and that's really what it boils down to. It's like if you really really care about your children and love your children, you do whatever it takes to make sure that you're in their
Yeah.
lives. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
like I was mentioning with my father. He wasn't in a position to be in our lives at one point, or even after my wife and my mom and him got divorced, and he went to prison. He wasn't able to be there, but even through that, he made sure that he could supply some of our needs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My very first Nintendo, it
Yeah.
came from them. You know what I'm saying? Even
And
from
years
prison.
later, you remember that.
I remember that. Even from years later, that was impactful. You see what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
they will remember that. Richard Thrash had a comment. He said, "Write letters and make sure the children are receiving the letter." And that is so true, Richard. Because when Maurice when he mentioned that, I had a thought, I had a flashback of The Color Purple and how Mister had that box of letters that she didn't know that her sister had written to her or what
Right.
have you. And so, yes, you want to make sure that and hopefully you don't have to deal with that. I know there are some women that are out here, and I'm just gonna be real and transparent. Y'all know I keep it real. They just trifling. They just
Oh yeah.
trifling, and they use the children against the father.
Sure.
So yes, you may write letters and the child would never receive them, but you've got to figure out a way through the court system or doing whatever it takes, like Maurice was saying, to make sure that that child knows that you're trying. That trying, and it's so sad, man. That fathers have to go through that. It's
It
so
is.
sad that they have to go through that. You're right. We have several friends, even mutual friends, that we know that have been like done in with the child support system, and they were, and like I had one individual. Um, Everybody know that this Joker is always with his kids. He's
Yeah.
always buying stuff for his kids, everything, and the mother of the children, was taking him to court for child support, saying he wasn't doing this and that. And he's like, well,
Right.
first of all, I have the kids 90% of the time. But the
Yeah.
court system don't care about that. They don't, if it's not written in stone, they hold that against you. I was telling somebody last week, I said, man, the system is not made for the man. It's
I
not
know.
made
It's
for the,
feminine
the men.
ideology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about the woman. I said, so you have to understand that and you have to learn the system and know how to flow within the system to get what you need, until
Absolutely.
things change or what have you. And yeah, absolutely. Talora says the system needs to be revamped. I said
Yeah.
that we need to tear it down and revamp the child support system and all of that because you have a lot of women that take advantage of it. You
And
know,
let me say this, Jermaine. Since we're on the spiritual topic of this, you know, God will repay you for all the
right,
good that you do. So don't
right,
worry about every receipt wasn't documented of all the things that you've done in your child's life. God will repay you, man. Like don't
absolutely.
when you make a decision, because you would. I don't have a receipt for all the stuff I bought my kids. Okay,
Right.
so so think about it like this: as a father, if I had to keep that receipt just for legal purposes, that's one thing. But if I'm doing it out of the goodness of my heart, bro, God already got it on
Yeah.
record. It's
Exactly.
already on record,
Exactly.
baby. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Just do what you're supposed to do for your children. And if you got to see that lady, if you got to go to the park, if y'all got to do an exchange, a COVID exchange where 6 feet, 6 feet, just leave my kids and I'll grab them from here. We was at Target one day. Me and Lisha was at Target one day, and we literally saw an exchange. They
Wow.
came. Yeah, man, it was an exchange, and she peeped it before I did, and she was like, "Oh yeah, they divorced or something," because that exchange right there, that was kid going to the
To the
dad for
other
the week.
car. Right.
And I said, man, I don't have that story. I don't have that testimony, but I know a lot of brothers do. So I want to encourage you, man. Fight, fight, and fight more, man. Just keep fighting because the main thing is if the relationship broke down with that young lady, that's one thing. But don't let it break down with your kid, man.
Right. Right.
Don't do not say, I'm gonna wait till my kid turn 18. Do not
Right.
do that.
Right.
Stay present, man. However you have it, God will give you creative things, man. You'll figure some things out. We know how to make things work. We'll figure it out. But you got to put that effort in. And if you got girls, man, your girls will love you for the rest of your life because they don't know that they got
Mhm.
somebody in their life that fought for them.
Absolutely, and that is so true, man. Even when I think back on the relationship with my girls, and how I brought them up, I was joking with them. I said, y'all can count. Or I probably can count on one hand. How many times I've had to discipline them,
Yeah,
by a belt or anything like that. If they were younger and all that. I said because the respect that they have for me, all I had to do was just look at them and they knew, okay, I better get in line. You know what I mean? But they had that reverence for their father. And I teach them. I said, listen, you want to make sure that you don't have a man that wasn't like your father, a man that didn't work hard, a man that didn't take care of y'all and didn't love y'all, like it was the last thing on earth that he had to do. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that you have somebody. I've given you a model. I've
yeah,
loved my wife. I've been faithful to my wife. You know what I mean? And so you don't want to go. Why would you go out there and attach yourself to a man that you already know is a cheater? You know what I
hmm,
mean? It's just stuff like that. I believe that a father is so crucial for. You know what I mean? And you know, even getting on this topic of spiritual fathers, spiritual fathers. Um, Sometimes those that know me know I have, I won't say an issue with it. I just have reservations a lot of times because I've seen that terminology being thrown around so much and really abused,
hmm,
in that relationship as it relates to fathering in the church. I certainly believe that, I hear people say, well, I only got one father. And that is absolutely true, right? We all just have one quote unquote biological father. But I do believe that God places people in your life to mentor you, to guide you as a father. But I think what's happened now is that relationship has
yeah,
been abused. And so they want you have pastors and preachers and things. They want the privilege of saying I'm your spiritual father, but they don't do the fathering.
yeah,
And so kind of tell me what is your take on, I mean, we have biblical examples of spiritual fathers. I mean, when um, um, you look at Joshua, and Moses and so many others. What is your take on spiritual fathering inside of the church, and what should that really look like?
yeah. That's a good question. I've had the privilege of actually being a spiritual father as a part of an organization. So I've been a house dad, meaning that I lived in a home. It was a spiritual organization, Christian organization, where we were responsible for literally being a light to young girls who had gotten pregnant before 18. And I remember very vividly there was one young lady who I actually talked to today. We're still connected, and she came to the realization that the guy that got her pregnant was not going to be um, he wasn't going to be in her life. And I was literally in the moment with her where I was there as a shoulder to lean on, but also it was the first time she had had a man unconditionally
Mm,
love her in a moment where she was in pain.
wow.
Um, and it was tough. It was tough, and it it caused me to realize how important my role was in my own kids' life, who may one day get their hearts broken, but also in her life because it was she was a 16-year-old girl at the time, um, and so I believe that spiritual when people want to use the word spiritual father, really understand what that means. um, it means to really get in the trenches with people. You know,
Right.
if the only person getting dirty is the one who's going through stuff, then what type of father is that? Because if I was drowning, I don't know a man that would not react and jump in the water to try to save his child. You just gonna
Right.
watch your child drown?
Right.
No. And everything cannot be done from the pulpit. That's part of the problem is that
Man, you
we cannot
preaching.
we cannot solve every problem from the pulpit. When a man is struggling with pornography, or he don't know whether he want to be a woman or a man or this or that, and he needs to somebody that can provide clarity in his life, those are private conversations.
Right.
That requires relationship.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to use the term spiritual father, let it be from a place of true relationship. That means that we've hung out sometimes. I've been to your house. I know who you are. You ain't living a double life. I mean, there's a different walk you have to have as a leader if you're going to go down that path, or don't go down it. Just say, I'm your shepherd, I'm your pastor, and I'll see you next Sunday. you
Right.
know
Right.
you're going to take that spiritual father role on. I just believe that first, count up the cost. Count up the cost of what that really entails, because there's grown men who need a father. We all need a father in our life. So if you're gonna take that title, I'm using it. I might need to borrow some money someday,
Right.
and I know I can call my daddy. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Absolutely.
So it's. I think the term has gotten away because we've been in this social distancing thing and all of that, and it's like some relationships really wasn't real to begin with. And
Mm.
I hope that it did a little bit of separating the fake from the real, because the truth of the matter is we need spiritual fathers, but what we don't need is fake spiritual fathers who just throwing the title around.
Right, right, and that's the thing I think is like prevalent in the church. You know what I mean? Is that if you're my spiritual father, like you said, you'll be there for me, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of what is give and take. Right? What we see all of these quote unquote spiritual fathers just taking,
Take it.
and they use that title as a means for those that they say they're spiritual fathers or their spiritual sons to serve them,
Yeah.
instead of saying, you know what, outside of church, why are you not calling me and checking up on me? You're not showing me that you care about me. The only time you call is if you need something for the ministry and all this. Well, what about what I'm going through? you know Ask me how my marriage is doing, ask me how the business is going, how the job is going.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. It's crazy to me how people can say, okay, I'm your spiritual father or spiritual mother, and then once they leave the ministry, you never hear from them. I just don't understand certain
You
things like
speaking
that.
on it.
And
You
it's
speaking
it's
on it.
it's crazy to me. It's like, no, you don't get the right to call yourself my spiritual father, because you haven't
Yeah.
done the things necessary in order to be that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think we have to, like you said, we can't take that lightly. Even now, even as a pastor, I'm very discerning of who I attach myself to.
Yeah.
There's individuals now that they'll call me, and it's crazy how Maurice, I'm telling you, Elder Webb is crazy how a lot of the stuff that I'm dealing with now, I didn't have to deal with before I was a pastor. But as soon as you announce to the world that God has called you to pastor, now everybody want to pile up, and it's amazing to me. People have called me and asked me for money, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll give it to you. And then you don't hear from them for another year or two. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, hold up now. I'm not just a bank. You know what I'm saying? I thought there was a relationship here. You say, you're a friend or whatever, but I don't hear from you. The only time I do hear from you is when you need something from me. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I check up on you more than you call me and see how I'm doing, see, what's going on or what have you.
Yeah.
And so it's that whole spiritual father thing is definitely something that needs to be revamped. I like what Pastor McMichael is one of my great friends. He said this here. He said, one father and others can mentor and guide with wisdom. And
Hmm.
then he said this, which I thought was very, very remarkable. He says, you can't be someone's spiritual father and you have no relationship with your own and haven't been reared by a true mentor or guide. Doc,
Yep.
Dr. McMichael, you walking heavy, sir. You walking
Yeah.
heavy, sir. Because how
I
can
agree.
you mentor somebody else and you've never been mentored? You know what I mean? It's like you don't know the proper way to handle individuals that need to be mentored because you've never walked that journey. You've never had that. I think that's so key. Another comment is bastards as fathers with no accountability or direction is why the term and position of spiritual father has been abused. Pastoring is sufficient.
Mm.
He got a point there. You know what I mean? Because um, you have individuals that, and I say this too, that a lot of times pastors put more undue stress on themselves than is required. God never required you to be all things to all men. Right?
Mhm.
And people take that out of context. God never required you to be the videographer. He never called you to be the MD of the band. He never called you to be the usher and all of this all at the same time. That's why
Mhm.
he allowed a flock to come to help you serve, right? And
Mhm.
but we want to do everything, and then you have pastors that are dying in the pulpit from stress because they're stressed out because they have their hands in every single thing instead of saying, you know what, I have capable people that God has sent to me to do these things. And so you may have a situation in your church where you have a elder Maurice Webb that has been called to minister to fathers and men. And so you
Mhm.
can't allow your ego to say, well, that's what God want me to do. That may not be necessarily true. It may be true for him, for God wants you to use Elder Webb to minister to those men, to minister to those fathers. But I think a lot of times we allow our pride and our egos to get in the way of that, and to get into really seeing the true or the writing that's on the wall, the truth that's on
Yeah.
the wall. It's like, okay, I realize that this may not be an area that I'm so great in, but I have somebody here that started their own organization. They've done this. Why don't we push them? Why don't we push their organization and partner with them, and not partner for our own benefit? Watch that.
Yeah.
Not partner for our
Yeah.
own benefit, but partner because we believe in that individual. We believe in Maurice. We believe in the vision that God has given him to help men, and we can benefit from that. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that whole spiritual father thing, man, I think is is something that is, I believe that God does call a pastor to father some people. I don't believe he calls a pastor to father all of the men in that church. And
Yeah,
so
and I think that a lot of pastors fall into the mistake of believing that the loyalty only lies as long as you're as good to the as you're good
right.
to, and
Wow.
but God is about movement, man. He moves us around. Our
Right.
gifts are not just for local bodies. Sometimes He may call us to another area, but
Right.
I don't mean we can't be connected. And
Absolutely.
it's a shame that both me and you, we can recount some things in our previous ministries that we we the connection was never there. And as soon as the loyalty to the ministry changed, it became now that we were bastards of the church.
Right. Right.
We were doing the right things.
Right.
We
You
we
preaching,
we're
doc.
leaders. We're
You preaching,
leadership.
doc.
We came in and served the people
Right.
faithfully, gave money, did
Faithfully.
all of the
Faithfully.
things that was supposed to be done, and trying to do it at the best of our ability.
Right.
Night service, morning service,
Man,
midweek
talk
service.
about it. Right.
Okay.
Conferences, everything.
And yeah, I mean, out front and in charge, catching people when they falling out,
Right.
staying till 2, 3 in the morning. I mean, all of the things that you think as a son, like this is what I'm supposed to do. And then there's a disconnect in you don't see me. You just see me as a entity for you to be used for your benefit.
Right.
That's
Right.
not a reciprocating relationship. And
Right.
to all the dads out there, let me say this, man. If the way you see your child is what your child can do for you, that's
Mm,
not a father-child relationship,
right.
because your children can teach you some things, but you got to stop and listen to them too. You
Yes,
can't
sir.
always be you can't always be so quick to speak and never listen, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know some of the stuff that they talk about ain't that important, but try to find the jewels in all of the conversation and let that be something that you build on. And I just think that's one of the things pastors sometimes struggle with is they think they're the only ones that's getting a word from God. And man, come on, man, He called all of us now. I
Right.
mean, he knows respect of person. I respect your position, but he gave me a call too. I got
Absolutely.
the call too. And my platform may not be what yours is, but I'm not trying to compete with you. I'm here to serve. I want to help you grow the mission, but you're
Right.
fighting against me because you jealous of me. The father being jealous of the son, we see that throughout scripture. That's
Right.
a terrible ministry.
Terrible. Terrible.
Terrible ministry.
Terrible.
Push your son. Push him out there, man.
Absolutely.
If he got something that the benefit people can benefit from, push him. And we've seen that hold back. Then we had to leave and go do our own thing. And now we're flourishing when really we can flourish just as much in the places we were. We didn't have to be, we didn't have to separate ourselves to flourish because
Right.
whatever God put in us was already
It
gonna
was already in
happen
us.
anyway.
Right.
It
It's gonna
was gonna
happen.
happen anyway.
It's gonna happen. You just sped up the
so
process.
so I want to be a part of the team. I'm not a lone ranger, man. I want to be a part of the
Right.
team, but I don't want to be held back, and I think sometimes that's one of the things that happens is this competition thing. Man, I want to compliment you. I want to grow you. I want to do whatever I can to help you in this season of your life. I've tried to, you when you said you had some things going on, I try to bring you in
Hmm.
front of people that I have some
Yep.
influence over.
Sure did.
Hey man, listen, my he's starting a church. When he get that thing up and running, we going to support.
That's
We
right.
gonna be
Yeah.
there. What does it cost? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Let's
Absolutely,
help each
man.
other, man.
Absolutely, man.
I can get on my soapbox about that, but yeah, man, you hitting it right on the head.
Yeah, that's so key, man. And that's the thing I think many times hurts sons and daughters of ministries,
Yeah,
especially when you get to the point where you're questioning my loyalty, right? Where I've been loyal and faithful from the beginning, right? And sacrificed so much over the years, where I could have been further along, with my
yeah,
family and all of that. And for you to sacrifice the loyalty that,
yeah,
it's like, yo, we're like core folk. You know what I mean? It's not like we're just some fly by night members. No, you wouldn't have, and I can wholeheartedly say this. Your ministry would not be where it is today if it had not been for us helping you. Period. Period.
because
Period.
I know I gave
You're right. You
time,
know what I'm
money.
saying? Right. Yeah, I can wholeheartedly say this, but unequivocally I can say it. Because I understand our even to this day, in those previous ministries, what have you, there are still valuable people that came to that ministry through the connection of my wife and I, that are still sowing and tithing and serving in those other ministries because they
Yeah,
came through us, and that you cannot take that for granted. But
yeah,
many times the quote unquote spiritual father does, and I'll say this and then we'll begin to wrap up. I think many times I used to always wonder, I was like, well, if you say you're a spiritual father, shouldn't that parallel with being a regular father? In other
mm,
words, if if a regular father wants to see his children succeed, in spite of how at what level he's done it at, shouldn't that correlate or move right over into being a spiritual father as a pastor? Shouldn't I want my children to succeed? Why would I hold my own children back? Right?
yeah,
As a natural father, what kind of father would I be to hold my children back? I tell my children all the time, I want you to be better than me. If that's big shoes that you got to fill, then that's big shoes you got to fill. But I want you to be better than me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't want you to be on my level. I want you to be way above. If I make $1 million, I want you to make 2 million. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
That's the father in me. And so I'm going to be the same way as a pastor. Look, I want those members of my church, I want you to succeed. I want you to be better than I was. You know what I mean? And whatever it may be, whatever area of life it may be, whether it's finance, whether it's spiritual, I want you to grow and grow and grow as I grow and grow and grow. And so that's always been something that people know, that's like one of my what do you call it, the bully pulpits. Where I just I just never understood how a pastor could hold those that serve them, hold them back or not want to invest in them or push their visions. It's all about their vision instead of saying,
Yeah.
you know what? And this is a concept that I've said over and over again. I said it's amazing to me that pastors don't understand that in order when you, and this is just in general, this is just in general advice. Y'all could take this to corporate, y'all could take this to your own businesses and all that. When you help other people get what they desire, they're going to help you build yours. Period. When you help other people get what they desire, when you help them with their visions, when you help them with their dreams and goals, guess what? They're going to pour into yours as well. Countless times I hear clients of mine say, "Man, you brought that vision to life," and then they just go, what do? They go and tell their friends and family, and then it just becomes a process of me blessing them and them blessing me. It's a reciprocal process, and that process I believe is missing in our churches today. Man, there's so much we can uh, dive deeply in with this conversation. And I'm going to continue this conversation, man. You got to promise me, man, that you're going to come back. That you're
Oh,
going to
no
come
doubt.
back. Yes, sir. And we're gonna continue this conversation, man, because I believe that it's so necessary. And I want to take this time to encourage all of the fathers out there, even those that are present and those that may not be present. You may be in a situation right now where you have not been in your child's life.
Mm,
Watch this. It may be a situation where you didn't want to be in your child's life because you thought you had to deal with the mother and you got tired of dealing with the mother and all that. I want to let you know, we want to encourage you tonight to take the first step, right? Take the first step to heal that relationship with your son or daughter. Take the first step to show them that you care, that you love them, and that you're there for them. Guess what?
yeah.
You can't correct the past. All you can be concerned about is now and the future. And so you've got to, if you need to ask for forgiveness, if you got to, say, I'm sorry, whatever it is, the importance of you as a father being in your children's lives, it's so paramount to even the society that we live in today. Even a
Mm,
lot of the issues and things that we deal with in society, a lot of that could be eradicated if we had fathers in the home. Brother Thrash, Minister Thrash, was saying earlier that if you cut off the head, the body will go. And
mm,
that is so true. The man, the father, is the head of the home. It's the head of the household. And so when you don't have that father in the home, guess what? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. That the enemy will come in and just cause chaos in that home, and you're wondering why so much is going on. Well, it's because you don't have that manly figure. That's, watch this. That is humbled and submitted to God and has a relationship with God and can lead you in all things as God leads him or what have you. And so we encourage you tonight to really get in do whatever it takes to be a part of your children's lives. And those that have been doing it, I want to say, job well done.
mhm.
Job well done. I believe here in 2022, we have to get back. Let's make it normal to appreciate fathers. Let's make it normal to go to church with fathers on Father's Day, right?
Yeah.
We pack it out on Mother's Day, but on Father's Day, let's make it a point to go home and be with our fathers, because one of our friends the other day was talking about how he took for granted not having his mom and his father in his life, and he was like, make sure y'all appreciate those that you have, because it could have been the other way. It could have been the other way, and you could not have had those. So when you have great parents, appreciate them. Show them love, show them that you care about them and about the things, the sacrifices and things that they're making. So Elder Webb, man, I appreciate you coming out tonight and being a part of this broadcast, and we're definitely gonna have you back or what have you. And so I want to get some final words from you, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what you have going on and your website and all that.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man, for the invitation. What I would say is get rid of the disease to please,
Mm,
and 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 become whatever your kids need in this season in life, man. If they need you to be a superhero, figure out how to be a superhero. If they need you to be an encourager, be an encourager. If they need you to just be a listener, man, because sometimes we make it so complicated, but really, God has already gifted us with what we need. We just need to tap
Doc, you can't be dropping bombs like that on the way out. Get rid of the disease to please, Doc. You gonna hear that
yeah.
again. I'm gonna give you credit the first time, but you know how the preachers say, Doc, that was crazy, Doc. Woo.
Yeah.
Get rid of the
Uh,
disease to please. I love it, bro. I love it. And
listen,
so tell go ahead.
I I'm on Instagram at 21st Century Fatherhood, and also my YouTube channel 21st Century Fatherhood. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm really trying to build out my YouTube channel. We've got a host of content. I'm interviewing people on the housing market. I'm interviewing people about finance. I'm also having conversations with my wife on the platform, just good relationship building. Um, and this is the season, man, where I'm just going to take it to the next level. So I'm doing everything in my power to connect with people like Pastor Jay and others. And I want to continue to have this conversation far beyond just June 16th, Father's Day, because I believe that Father's Day is every day. I know it's some great
Absolutely.
ladies out there, but I just believe that the fathers really hold the soul of the family. And so hang in there, guys. Keep doing the great things that you're doing, and just know, man, that we're praying that we become a stronger coalition. We're stronger together than separated, and so we have to keep telling the story. We have to keep encouraging, and most importantly, we got to stay in our kids' lives one way
Yes,
or
sir.
another. Love you guys, man.
Absolutely. Man, I appreciate you again. And we are excited about what's happening with you and the ventures that you have, man. Of course, you already know you got my support. So
Yeah,
any way I can help you guys there at 21st Century, I definitely want to connect and be a part of that. Anything you got going on, man. I just really
yeah.
believe that God is calling some fresh leaders to the forefront, man, to really change the world, to really be world changers, man, and really help build the kingdom through their organizations and things. And so we're excited about what God is doing for you. And man, we look forward to really connecting with you in the future.
Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so that's what all we have tonight. Listen, again, all fathers, make sure that you connect with Elder Maurice Webb. It's a great man of God. He's down to earth. We chill, we crack up, we joke and have fun all the time in our sports group and everything. And we get on him. He's a Detroit Lions fan, and so we get on him from time to time about those Lions and things. But we have a great time, man. We always say that, man. You can be saved and sanctified and still have a good time. You know, you can be kingdom minded but still enjoy life, and that's what it's about, man. Really enjoying life. And so, if you are a father, connect with him, or if you're just a man in general and want more information about how you can be a part of his organization and help volunteer, or whatever the case may be, mentor for some young guys and all that type of stuff, make sure you connect with him on all of his social networks or what have you. And also connect with us. Make sure you subscribe and share this broadcast. I forgot to mention that earlier. Make sure you share. Even if you are a replay viewer, please let us know that. Hashtag replay. If you were live, hashtag live, and share this broadcast. Share this broadcast with as many fathers as you know, as many men as you know, uh, even the men that desire to be fathers. I believe that this conversation tonight has brought something that they can utilize as well in their growth as a man and really developing and preparing to be a father. And so you want to make sure that you share this. Guess what? It doesn't cost you anything but a button click to share this broadcast. I thank those that have come on tonight. Brother Richard Thrash, thank you. Pastor Lavelle McMichael, thank you so much. My beautiful wife, she's actually producing the show tonight. Thank you so much to my I call her, she's the straw in my berry, my strawberry. My beautiful wife, Taloy Freeman. I thank you. I love you, and I thank you for blessing me with four beautiful children, what have you. And so this is the end of our broadcast tonight. Listen, I want you to join us. We're going to have some things coming up in the month of June as well. We're going to be doing a special in the month of May. We're going to be doing a special Mother's Day special. And then in June, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about fathers. I'm doing 2 shows geared towards fathers in June. So that Tuesday before Father's Day, and then on Father's Day, we're going to have a Father's Day special where we bring on some fathers, and we're just going to talk about our joys of being fathers, even some of our challenges and things. But we just want to appreciate fathers all across the world for being there for their children and doing the right thing. And so make sure, again, you subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can click and like and share and love this broadcast. That'll help us expand our reach and grow our following as it relates to kingdom conversations. These are the conversations that are building the kingdom of God. We're building the kingdom of God through, or bridging the gap through the conversations that are not always talked about in the church, but we're going to talk about them here on Kingdom Conversations. Hey, this is Jay Freeman, Pastor Jay, signing off for this week. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Until then, like I always say, don't just live life, but live life abundantly through Jesus Christ. I love you, and I'll see you on the other side.
All right, hold on, everybody. Hold together. 10 seconds.